Chief Swanigan, and a couple of special guests that we'll introduce as we continue on. I hope you're having a great Friday and have had an amazing week, a very productive and successful week. Chief?
Yes, absolutely. Good afternoon. Happy Friday to everybody. I've been having a blast this week, and I know that we've had an opportunity to be in some of the same spaces, and specifically ALS last night was really good. So yes, sir. Happy Friday to everybody.
I'm here today because we have our Brigadier General and Colonel Caspers is doing their immersions down at Plant 42. So I get the honor of presenting to you today to Town Hall on Friday. It's been a very busy week with ALS and getting a lot of great flying in, and want to thank everybody for all the great participation, all the effort and work to get the sorties generated and get us out there doing what we're here to do, and that's to make great systems for our warfighters out there every day. So do you want to go ahead and introduce our special guest?
Sure, why don't we do that? We have our Warrior of the Week. We are joined today by Dojo, aka Dakari Williamson. So, sir, if you don't mind, please tell us a little bit about yourself and what you like to do, and we'll get into some discussion here.
Yes, ma'am. Hi. Amazing to be here. My name is Dakari Dojo Williamson. I am studying on staff at the Air Force Test Pilot School. It's kind of a new gig for me, but I'm a human factors engineer by trade. Been out here in the test wing since about 2003. So I've had a long road. I've started off as a aircraft weapons troop, worked my way along through on equipment maintenance, served as a crew chief, worked special instrumentation, human factors engineering, project engineering, and most recently a human factors engineer on staff at the Test Pilot School. So it's been almost 20 years now, and it's been a ride. So yeah.
Good stuff.
Dojo, you were not only in the Air Force, but you were also in the Army, correct?
Yes, sir.
So, I also was enlisted for 7 years, and these types of stories, as we see folks work so hard to achieve and reach their potential, it's so heartwarming. You're also working on your PhD, correct?
Actually, doctorate of education.
Okay.
Yeah, so doctorate of education, yes. My humble beginnings started off wearing stripes. When I showed up here in 2003, I had mosquito wings on my arms, loading the mighty F-15, and throughout my time, I've always had a dream of flying, and I had this deep desire for aviation. And so when I separated from the Air Force, I felt like I made a tremendous mistake. And I missed the camaraderie, and I knew that I wouldn't forgive myself if I didn't at least try and achieve my dream of aviation. And so, long story short, it ended me up. I ended up in the Army as a military policeman first, and then I transitioned to an aviation officer in hopes of achieving a flight slot. Didn't quite manifest the way that I wanted it to. However, in that transition, I was able to kind of find this space because when I pursued my master's degree in human factors, I stumbled across the human factors division here at the test wing that I never knew was a thing. I was so interested in this discipline while I was in grad school. One, because it was the only thing that would hold my attention, talking about airplanes, and I found out we had one here. We had a division here that just focuses on human factors. And so, long story short, I ended up here, and I got to work, in fighters and the F-16, which I absolutely love. And, it allowed me to come into this space as at the test pilot school. And it's still kind of surreal that I'm even sitting here talking to you about it right now. So just what's the last 5 months has been for me. So thank you for that.
To me, it's incredible. Your story, your spouse is also an employee here or teammate here on the Edwards Air Force Base campus. just seeing, we watch Olympics, we watch professional sports, we do all those things to see people exceed even their own dreams and what they define as their own potential. Sure. And Dojo, with you and what you've achieved, it's truly, truly, truly an amazing story. And it's so fun to have you with us and honorably valued team member here at Takata 2, making a difference as we move forward in test and evaluation. It's such an amazing, heartfelt, heart warmth story. And every airman out there, just as you've described, every airman out there has that same potential. Just don't be afraid to dream. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Don't be afraid to succeed. It's not where you are or where you've been. It's what's your next step forward and where you're going. So please encourage each other. Take the time to make sure we all have the confidence and faith to be scared. Take that first step and get out there and start our careers on the path that we would like it to be, and then reach this success that you've had, and keep moving the ball down the field.
I think it's incredibly remarkable that you say you separated from the Air Force and then you felt like you had made a mistake, and then you achieved your goal of somehow getting back to service with the Army. And then as I'm reading through your smart card, it's talking about how you are still to this day involved in veterans, that community, and just kind of keeping that service going. So I commend you on continuing to serve by doing your part, however that looks. That's just a tremendous feat, and so good on you for that. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Did you want to elaborate on what you do with veterans at all?
So one of the biggest things I think that I just really wanted to touch on is this transitional period. So if you are separating, if you are retiring, there is that transitional period where you have to reacquaint yourself with life, right? And so I think that was the toughest thing for me, transitioning from the military and actually, doing that a couple of different times, right, in different capacities. So I would say this, and maybe I might have misspoken a little bit. I don't know that I really wanted to say that I made a mistake, because I had a hard time just understanding what the transition was in leaving the uniform, right? And I missed the camaraderie. So I say all of that to say, as you transition from, wearing the uniform and serving, I would say just, plug into some sort of community, some sort of tribe. Like, we adopt this wingman concept in the Air Force, and I very much believe that is actually what holds the veteran community together, is that battle buddy system, that wingman system, and being able to check one another. And so that has been a huge part of what I needed to heal and transition into a much bigger, bolder self. And I work on that every day. So it's not a one and done thing. It's, being able to check with your wingmen and your battle buddies and stuff like that, and ensuring that those bonds are, that we're holding each other accountable, right? So we're in really, really different times these days. And I think, another thing that I kind of hold high is, just being mentally prepared. Mental health is mental wealth. And these are the things that I know that I needed to experience what I'm experiencing today, and being able to kind of break through some barriers. So I'm always an advocate for that, and just building on a better me, a better you kind of deal, and just holding your friends accountable.
That's
right?
a huge point. That is a huge point. The wingman piece of that. We were at ALS last night, and I just felt compelled to remind the Airman Leadership students graduating for that class that, those networks that they were building in that forum throughout the course, those friendships, those relationships, you may still be talking to those individuals 30 some years later. Like, it is just imperative that you build those bonds that you speak of, and that you remember who you can lean on. Wingman it doesn't turn off. Like, I can guarantee you that if you have a wingman that you've served with at any capacity, that they're always your wingman. That is it doesn't expire. And so I think that you bringing that up is a huge point, and I can't help but to try to emphasize and foot stomp on that a little bit more. So yeah.
I liked when he talked about the tribe and the village
Right.
and what it takes to build a successful team. And I know through my career, I've had some of the individuals that I thought were the hardest on me.
Sure.
That at the time I just didn't realize they were pushing me to succeed and to excel and to go further than I thought I could go. One of the things that I like last night after ALS, I was able to get a picture with one of my friends here on base, and he and I both were 1985 enlistees as enlisted folks. And whether you're coming in the Air Force and you're at E1 and you aspire to be a chief, or whether you aspire to become an officer, or whether you aspire to separate, use your GI benefits, get your master's and PhD, and continue to succeed, whether it be in the DoD or outside the DoD, all these things are available. And between him and I, we had 74 years of service.
I know,
and,
that was an amazing
and,
picture.
Just to be able to break bread and talk and have someone like that. This is our first connection, but to have someone like that to share our stories with, and hopefully share stories with our viewers out there, and show what success looks like. With Dojo here, it's monumental. It's a success, but it's only one story of many stories across Edwards Air Force Base. And I just think we grow from that. We learn from that. We get motivated from that.
Right.
And so I really hope, and it's definitely made my Friday, and I hope it's made your Friday as well.
Oh yeah, it certainly made mine. It's been good. Thanks for sharing your story.
Thank
the
you
way
so
you
much.
continue to move in and out and maneuver through the total force, man, that's amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It has been, it's been a amazing ride, and all I can say is, to all the folks out there, Takata 2, keep on grinding. Look, if there's ever a message that I can just kind of send to my airmen is, I should say as a whole, the talent is out there, and it is a new time in the test wing, and so I am just that stubborn guy that made it through all the wickets. So there is a new standard, and stay grinding, and you too can realize your dreams here. So I appreciate you guys for allowing me to share my experiences here.
Awesome.
Very awesome.
Very good. So I think that kind of wraps up our Warrior of the Week segment,
Yeah,
sir.
it
Did
sure
you
does.
want to add anything before we bring in our public health SMEs?
Yeah, let's breathe them in. But when we talk about diversity, the diversity is many different reflections under the lens, and this particular diversity here is diversity of where we get our people, right? And so it's not right out of high school, right into college and out. It's that diversity of thought, the diversity of processes, and diversity of a path. What did you do to get here? And that's where I think, we usually talk about every airman a sensor. Well, every airman has a story. So, when you're out there and you're having some breaks during your heavy workloads, don't be afraid to ask somebody what's your story, and then share your story with them. It's great to share those stories because it provides some collaboration, and it provides motivation, right? And
does.
so I'll tell you that from my path, it would not be successful without successful mentors, and then without people that provided encouragement. Sometimes that was a boot in the right place, and sometimes that was some kind words.
Right.
But I'm thankful for having those mentors and individuals surrounded me and my tribe to help me get to where I am today.
I definitely owe it to everybody that's crossed my path along my journey. The inspiration, that little bit of boost on those bad days, tough times, whatever those might look like. Just having that wingman, and those relationships build, they pay dividends. You could reach back to who you went to ALS with 10, 15 years down the road and be able to get what you need for that particular situation. So yeah, I mean, that's one of the great things about serving, is that you get that along the way, and you don't necessarily get that on the outside.
It's your military family, right?
That's right.
It's that core common ability that we share across our force, that we're all one.
Yes,
and
sir.
we're all equal. So it's awesome.
Cool. Well, it looks like we have public health with us at this time. So did you want to go ahead and introduce them, sir, or how did you want to?
Well, we have obviously Highlander. You know, I would tell you that I am positive that when Highlander joined the military and started her career, she never would have thought that you know, this pandemic would have presented itself the way it has, and I can't think of anybody that I would have rather have gone through this pandemic with than her and her team. It has been just a mountain of data and information, counsel, guidance. Just so fortunate to have her and her team here to help us navigate these very troubled waters of the pandemic and COVID. And I just don't think couldn't have done it without them.
Sure.
So, but with that, we'll turn over to Highlander.
I appreciate that, sir. I wanted to introduce, so Captain Lanker was kind of my buddy through all of this. She was the public health officer for the last 2 years, but she did PCS to Dover, so we do have a new public health officer. So I wanted to first introduce him, so if you want to introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Major Velasco Soltero. I am a new arrival here 2 weeks ago. Came from Kunsan, Korea, where COVID was also affecting the way of lives. But I'm excited to be here and working with you all to basically get us in a safe and healthy place.
Welcome.
Welcome, absolutely.
Thank you.
And so I did want to just start out really with just a COVID update, if I can, sir. So obviously the cases are starting to decline in the U.S. and in California. I do have to say, though, they are still relatively high. So you can still get COVID, and it is still transmissible. But the cases are thankfully starting to decline a little bit. We will have to see with school starting these last couple of days what that is going to be doing to the case rates in our area as well as in general in the U.S. There's that potential that with kids coming back together again, that there may be more of an increase in cases again with that BA.5 variant as the predominant variant, and it's still very contagious. So that is really the good news right now, is that we are possibly seeing that peak of this BA.5 variant. And so we'll have to kind of see how that goes. There also was, CDC did update their guidance as of yesterday afternoon. So I know that's probably a pending question for a lot of people. So the guidance did change. I will state that the DOD has not changed their guidance. It's interesting enough that they actually revised some guidances a few days before the CDC guidance came out. So I'm pretty sure that they are working on something, but that has not come down yet. So at this point, per DOD, we still have to follow that, the current consolidated force health protection guidance on the installation. And you can find that guidance on the DOD spotlight page, coronavirus, if you just kind of Google that. So at this point, that is still the guidance that we are following in terms of like isolation, quarantine, and other measures. But the CDC did update their guidance, so I'm pretty sure that other public health departments in the community, like LA County and Kern County, may be starting to revise some of what their guidelines are. I was kind of keep looking at those websites to kind of see if things have changed, but they have not yet as of yet. But so pending that, but yes, the CDC guidance did change, in which quarantine is no longer kind of required, although they still recommend doing the test at 5 days if you were close contact to somebody. And the isolation guidelines also changed to 5 days of isolation, and as long as your symptoms have improved and you don't have fever, you can be out of isolation with mask wear for the full 10 days. So those are some of the guideline changes that are going to come are coming down. So we'll see what that reflects from the DOD.
Good
I don't know
deal.
if you have anything else to add on that.
So while you're on that topic, ma'am, we do have a question in the queue that it says, with the new CDC guidance not requiring quarantine with close contact, can we now stop quarantining our kids at the CDC when someone in their classroom is considered the contact?
And as always, the FSS director is really the main, person that will dictate what happens at the CDC and like the school age annex. But all I can say is at this point, the DOD guidance still stands, and that has not changed yet. So we'll definitely be looking for updates from the DOD.
But their decisions that they drive from that is based on DOD policy, correct?
Yes. Yes,
So, I
sir.
mean, as of right now, with the CDC's new guidance, we're waiting now possibly for DoD guidance to be updated, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So as of right now, we're still following the rules and regulations that we've been provided to operate under for the last probably like 6 months to a year with our CDC and on base. And so as it is right now, we're going to continue operating as normal and with high expectations and hopes that the new guidance will be forthcoming.
Yes, sir. So again, just a reminder, I know I'm kind of keeping the drum to get your vaccines, but do make sure you're up to date on your vaccine. That was part of the CDC guidance, is to get updated on your vaccine. There will be a booster that is a little bit different than the current booster, where it'll include the Omicron variant, so the BA.4 and BA.5. That is due potentially to come out and be available in October. There's some meetings that are coming down from the CDC at the end of this month, and we could possibly put in some orders in September to be able to potentially administer that in October. So just be aware of that. But again, cases are still high. You can still get COVID. So you do want to make sure you're doing everything possible to have that defense and make sure that you're up to date with your vaccine. So if that means getting a booster or a second booster, the advice is really to do so now and not to wait for that. So that's kind of the COVID update. But thankfully, like I said, cases are coming down a little bit. We are also seeing some hospitalization rates come down just a little bit. So LA County did go into that medium community level yesterday, but it's kind of barely. It went from a 10 new admissions per day per 100K to 9.9, and that was really kind of that little point. So it's still at that very kind of high level of medium, but it did go into medium. Hopefully that trend will continue to stay. I did want to also talk about monkeypox. I know that's been in the news, and I want to say up front that is extremely low risk that you will get monkeypox, and it's extremely low risk for the installation, but wanted to try to get some information out about monkeypox in case there were anybody that was kind of concerned about that or had some questions. And I believe we do have a slide for it. But it is definitely increasing in cases in the U.S. The U.S. did declare it as a public health emergency. Currently, there's over 10,000 cases in the U.S. And more globally, obviously. So it is a global public health type of emergency. California has declared emergency. LA County, Kern County has declared it as a public health emergency. And that really is because this is unusual, right? We don't have monkeypox in the U.S., but this is definitely spreading. And it is something that we just want to make sure we're keeping informed of and keeping up to date on and understanding what this is. So monkeypox is a virus. It's usually currently spread right now from contact, so close contacts to somebody. Monkeypox it was kind of centralized in Africa and places like Nigeria, where the monkeys actually that were infected with the virus may have bitten kids, and kids were getting monkeypox, but it was a pretty rare instance of human to human transmission. So now that we are seeing more of that spread and a community spread where we can't go back and identify this was like a central case, that's why it's now a public health emergency. So it is a direct contact more now than anything. So that's just something to be aware of. You can also get it if you're sharing linens with somebody that has monkeypox, linens or towels, things like that. That can also spread that way, or respiratory droplets can be spread more, but close contact. So if you're kissing somebody, hugging somebody, or kind of around them in a very close type of setting, you can also potentially get monkeypox from somebody who is infected. And the thing with monkeypox, it has a long incubation period, so it can be a few weeks. So you may have had contact with somebody with monkeypox, but may not actually develop symptoms for a while. So again, and the virus actually does last the disease lasts for a few weeks, so 2 to 4 weeks. Monkeypox can be the primary thing that we're seeing right now is really the rash. It's kind of a blistering type of rash. It goes through several stages. I don't know if anybody had chickenpox way back in the past, but it's may sort of be similar like that, where it does evolve from a little bump to kind of a blister to a pustule, then it kind of scabs over, crusts over. And then once the crust and scab and the new skin kind of forms, that's when you're no longer contagious. But it can be a very painful process. So a lot of times people may be hospitalized just for pain control. So you definitely don't want to get it. So if you suspect that you have a rash, I would definitely have you talk to your medical provider. There are ways that we can clinically and by lab diagnose it by kind of swabbing the rash. And then if you're a close contact to somebody that may have had monkeypox, I highly recommend that you do talk to the public health department, either your local community public health department, or you can call public health on base. If you feel like you may have been a close contact, there is a vaccine available for individuals who were close contact. If you were close contact anywhere between 4 to 14 days, you can get that post-exposure vaccine. That vaccine is very, very limited in supply right now. So just be aware of that. But definitely, if you think you may have had a close contact, talk to your medical provider, talk to public health, and go from there. Right now, there's a lot of cases disproportionately in the younger men, especially men who are having sex with other men or who may be having anonymous sex. So that is more of the cases are in that population right now, and so the public health departments across California are trying to give that vaccine out to individuals who may be in that population at higher risk for pre-exposure prophylaxis. So if you are in that population, I would highly recommend that you reach out to your local public health department to get signed up for the vaccine. If you're having any issues getting that vaccine, you can always call public health here on base, and we can help you guide you through some of that stuff too. So definitely the vaccine right now is really targeted for those people who are a close contact to somebody that has monkeypox or in a high-risk population. But I want to be very clear that anybody can get monkeypox, and actually we've seen a lot of kids get monkeypox. And so just be aware that that is possible. You can't get monkeypox from just being shaking someone's hand or, being at work or, casual contact type of stuff. You really, it's really prolonged close contact. So, but it is still possible that anybody can get it. So just be aware that that is circulating. Cases are increasing, especially in LA County, and just protect yourself. Make sure you're washing your hands, those type of things.
Highlander, I am a dinosaur, and I did have chickenpox. So I was informed when I was younger that if you contracted chickenpox, then your chances of a reinfection or re-exposure was very, very limited. With the virus or with the vaccine for monkeypox, or if you get monkeypox, does that kind of provide you some immunity, or how does that work?
Yes, sir. It does, and that's the whole purpose that they're trying to do this pre-exposure prophylaxis. So if you're in a high-risk category, getting that vaccine before you may be exposed will give you some immunity to prevent you from getting monkeypox. And then, obviously, if you've had some close contact, it will help make the disease not that bad, or maybe prevent it from becoming a disease. So that vaccine is very helpful, and I don't know the length of how long that vaccine lasts for, but it is definitely something that you would want to get now because we are seeing monkeypox in the community.
Two more questions for me. You mentioned the booster that would be targeting the specific COVID mutations. Is that what do we have an idea of what manufacturer that's going to be? It'll be Pfizer, Moderna.
So I believe all of the manufacturers are working on that booster.
Okay.
So I know for a fact Pfizer and Moderna are. I'm pretty sure Novavax is working on something too. Novavax right now is only available for primary doses. It's not authorized or approved for a booster dose, but Pfizer and Moderna I know are working on those booster doses with the Omicron variant. I just don't know who's going to come out with
Sure.
what first, but that's the expectation is probably it'll be available in October.
And one last question. Sorry for jumping around. You're just such a wealth of knowledge, though. Is there a possibility of death from monkeypox?
Yeah, it's monkeypox is mainly the rash and the painful rash. There is not it's not like COVID where COVID can kill you. Monkeypox, there's not really a lot of deaths from it. But if you are an HIV patient or HIV or have some other immunocompromised status or some other comorbidities type of thing, there's always that potential. There have been deaths from monkeypox, but it's not something that the general population, if they got it, would necessarily die from it or have to be hospitalized from it. So it is really different from something like COVID. There's always that possibility, especially if you have some immunocompromised status. So that's why there is a medication that was meant more for smallpox that they're trying to use for monkeypox for those who have HIV, have monkeypox, and are kind of an immunocompromised status where they probably do need some sort of treatment. But for most part, monkeypox is self-resolved.
Cool. I do have an update on the question that we received previously about the CDC and mask wear for the children there. FSS, the Child and Youth Center, the CDC Child Development Center, and I guess maybe all the school age and annex and other programs under that umbrella. They were all the parents, parents, guardians, and staff were emailed this latest memo that went out on the 10th, so 2 days ago, and it basically answers the question that came in. It says that the Edwards Child Development Center will not alter or change any processes at this time, and that quarantine and isolation procedures will remain unchanged at 10 days due to the following, and the following are: the CDC's prevention guidance recommends testing after day 5 of exposure and or a positive test. And children ages 5 and under are unable to properly wear a mask through day 10. Additionally, there are other factors when a room is closed due to exposure to include staff vaccination status, staff availability, maintaining standards, and those sorts of things. So there's reasons why the guidance can't change readily, and these are spot on as an update to what those look like. I mean, right now we're all wearing masks and we still can't move. They're not even wearing masks at that facility, so it's even more of a caution in that case. So I think that was a pretty good update. Shout out to FSS for always sending us a phone a friend lifeline. So yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah,
And this was emailed, so for all the parents, if they want to go out and reference that, they probably read the whole document.
Sometimes we don't get, I would say what we determine as favorable news, like when we went back to mask wear, right? I mean, it's one of those things where it's a necessary, right? And so when we're given guidance and directives like this, it's for the greater good.
Sure.
It's for the majority of the herd, if you will.
Yes,
and so sometimes when we get these guidance directives and whatnot that come down from higher headquarters or from here on the installation, it's to protect the greater good, to protect the mission, and to protect our assets. And so when we ask these things to be applied, or we can't be maybe as rapid as we'd like to be, it's data-driven decisions. And so when we look at the risks to our youth and the risks to the CDC and the operation, these things are made and developed to protect everyone. So I know that we would all like to get clear and past the pandemic and past COVID. And I do think we'll get there very soon. I think that appears to be the virus is starting to slow down, maybe starting to weaken. Maybe we develop a natural immunity as more folks are vaccinated and boosted and or exposed. And so as we continue this path, I think we'll one day be there. But as it is right now, we're going to be coming in and out of masks, and policies will be loosening and tightening as we go through this journey together.
Correct. That is a very good point, sir.
Yeah, and I agree, sir. If I can say that, if you read the CDC guidelines that they posted as the reasons that they changed some of the guidelines, it is, like you said, sir, there is more immunity in the population with being vaccinated and boosted, and also all the Omicron waves. Unfortunately, a lot of people had to get infected for us to get to this level, which is not good because, the main thing that we're not really kind of measuring or tracking is those long COVID symptoms that have really debilitate a lot of people's lives and will be long lasting. But, there has been a lot of more immunity than we had, obviously, than 2 years ago when there was nothing. So the vaccination and the fact that a lot of people have gotten infected has increased that herd immunity, that population immunity. So that is some of the reasons that the guidelines have changed. And the other reason is really that we have better treatment now. We have Paxlovid and some other antiviral medications that were not available before. This is the first time in the pandemic, this kind of BA.2, BA.5 surge, where we've actually had a decoupling of hospitalizations and deaths. So we're not seeing that as much rise in the hospitalizations and deaths compared to COVID cases that we did before in the other parts of the pandemic, including the big one, the Omicron in January. So, and that's really because we have that test to treat program. We have antiviral medication available. We have better treatments available, and so that really has. And we've been able to boost our higher risk population, which are those over 50 years of age. So that really has helped quite a bit with this current surge. And I think with all those data, that's why that guidance changed. But I do agree with you, sir, that the CDC guidelines are really for the general public. The DoD has a mission; it needs to protect its mission and its people within the installation. So sometimes, there may be more stricter guidelines on the
Absolutely.
DoD, and that's really because we serve a different purpose than the rest of the public. And even if you read that CDC guidelines, those at higher risk, have to be very aware of their risk and really try to protect themselves with the mask wear and with more knowledge. So really have to keep informed and keep understanding that the things that we've learned the last 2 years are still relevant. There's nothing saying that the virus is going to keep getting, the disease is going to get milder. It's just this current variant may not be as severe as the Delta variant, but there's nothing to say that it won't mutate and have a more severe variant in the future. So we just have to keep up the tools that we've learned and the lessons we've learned, and just still be cognizant that COVID is around and that there are still things that we don't know about COVID and we're still learning. So
I love that you said we serve a different purpose than the general public. That sums it up, and that is why we cannot match what happens in the society that you see around you a lot of the times, sometimes, but not all the time.
Chief, I'm going to tell a story, so hang with me, everyone. A friend of mine that I served with back before had bought a T6 from World War II, right? And so he races that at Reno Air Races and whatnot, and he's a little older than I am, and one of his dreams is to be able to fly that T6. It's called Big Red, up at Reno Air Races, in 2043. He's hoping to make it to 2043 to be able to fly that aircraft, because at that time, that aircraft will be 100 years old.
Oh, wow.
Right, and so when I think about that, I'm floored at how our military wages war. I'm floored at how our testers and our innovators here develop equipment to allow us to fight wars. But when you think about where we are in time and space, 100 years ago, it was a single-engine, piston-driven aircraft, low wing, that was training our pilots and fighting for us out in the combat. And look at where we are today in just a short time.
Sure.
And you do that same thing. I'm a child of the 60s, and Highlander and I were talking earlier about polio and some other things that's been eradicated for the most part in our society. Mm-hmm. And you think back, and our young child or children that are born today don't even have to think about mumps, measles, rubella. They don't really have to be concerned so much of polio, because most of these things throughout our herd immunity have been not eradicated, but eradicated for the most part. Mm-hmm. And you look at that, and I'm 55 years old now, and that's just in 55 years. So as innovative as we are in our military way of fighting, our development of amazing equipment to go out and protect our country, protect our way of life, public health and the doctors that have and nurses that have developed these remedies, these vaccines, these ways of protecting us as a herd, just incredible. And this too shall pass. But the only way that we were able to eradicate all of these things we just talked about was through vaccination, was through development, was through all of these things where our parents were ensuring the better and greater good of our herd. So I really want to encourage everybody out there to seriously consider the vaccine. We have several choices and several options now with the Novavax and Moderna and Pfizer. And as Highlander mentioned, we have the new boosters coming out that will further protect us. And the only way to truly eradicate this COVID virus is for us to get to the other side.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Good point, sir.
And that's a great point for National Immunizations Month, which is this month. So do make sure you get vaccinated and keep up with all the other vaccines, that is indicated. It's not just COVID. So there's other vaccines that are out there that we all just need to make sure we're on that regular basis and getting our vaccines and protecting ourselves. So.
Good stuff.
Well, Highlander, I just want to thank you and your team and our entire med group for what you do and the services that you provide for us here at Takata 2. It is truly just a pleasure, a privilege to be in this developed nation so that we can have the ability to have these protections for us and our children and our teammates to allow us to continue enjoying life the way we do here in the Aerospace Valley.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your leadership.
Well, Chief?
I guess we don't have any other questions. Hey, the number's 707-412-8922. We got about another 18 minutes in the broadcast. So please, if there's anything that's on your minds, please send that in and we'll do our best to answer it. And we always have our lifelines. If we can't answer that, we'll get an answer for you. But sir, other than that, I mean, well, until questions come in, I guess, is there any other information that you want to get out?
Well, for me, this has been a week that I've been able to come out from my civilian employment as an IMA and be surrounded by my military family. It's just incredible for me to be able to enjoy being around individuals that truly have a greater purpose and service before self. You know, we don't see this in the civilian community as much as we do here in the military community. It is truly incredible to come out here and serve with you and enjoy the things that we're all collectively put together to help develop and test and provide this new weaponry for our warfighters in the field. It's from every rank, every structure. I like going around the base and just meeting with people and talking with them and just really enjoying to hear their story.
Mm-hmm. I enjoy that too. That's one of the highlights of my job, is being able to get out and about and see people. So next week I'll be heading over to San Antonio for the Air Force Sergeants Association conference out there. And after that, we have the SEL Summit, where all the command chiefs have the opportunity across the Air Force to sit with Chief Bass and kind of get a vector, get some perspective from that level. Let me fix my Yoda. From that level on what the Air Force has to look forward to, where we're headed, and just some of the things that we all need to be focused on. So I'm excited to get out there, take copious notes, and also to highlight some of the inputs that I've gathered from airmen and guardians in the wing to put on her plate so that she can look at that from her level. So if there's anything that you all would like that you don't think I've gotten to take up to that point, make sure that your chiefs and your first sergeants are tracking and that they can push that information to me between Monday and Wednesday of next week. And so I think there'll be a lot of information that I'll be able to bring back, and we'll see what's in store for Big Blue. So. Well,
I really appreciate you representing the wing and all of our enlisted at that conference. I know Chief Bass has done great work in her tenure, and looking forward to what you might find and bring back for information for us here. And please, if you have something that you want to get up, work it through your chain of command and get it to the wing so Chief Swanigan can represent us and make sure that we get the things that we're concerned with in the forefront.
Absolutely.
Well, somebody is asking about the football, about the Super Bowl, but I'm kind of a college football fan. Who do you think?
And I'm NFL, so.
Are you? Well, awesome.
I mean, if I'm gonna go out and put in my poll or my vote for who's gonna win the Super Bowl, obviously I'm gonna represent my team, the best team in America, the Dallas Cowboys. Duh. But that's just me, sir. And since you're not NFL, PA is giving me the thumbs down. So. But why would I go with any other team?
Well, I live in Texas now, and I know you're from Texas,
yes,
but
sir.
And everyone's shocked when I say the Cowboys may not be my favorite team. I do like a lot of the players that are on the team. I'm much more of a what type of leadership the coaches are offering and everything. That's why I like Alabama football. I think. Not just Alabama, but that's my number one pick, and I hope they do well this year. But I really like seeing coaches take care of people. I like seeing coaches lead. It shows me a lot of what they're able to accomplish by the product that they produce outside of the collegiate time. So when I see those players go on to the next level in the NFL or go out into society and do great work for representing their school, representing themselves, they tend to do really, really well from the university. And I just like seeing the development and mentoring of young men and women in college sports to see what they do next. And so it's really nice to see that. You know, if I had to pick a collegiate, or excuse me, a professional team, I'd really like to see I'm kind of, I guess, tied to the LA team down here.
Are you?
Yeah, I am a little bit.
Miss Becca would appreciate that.
Yeah, I think she would. So, Highlander, you have a favorite choice there for your
Gosh.
your fantasy?
Yeah,
on the football.
I don't really watch a lot of football, unfortunately.
Well, I have a team for you.
I know.
You're interested.
I will go with the Cowboys.
All right.
See how that works?
Peer pressure. It's all good.
Sir, what about you?
Hi, Chief. For me, it's the Green Bay Packers.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Little Aaron,
Mr. Osborne would appreciate that.
Yeah, little Aaron Rodgers. Well, Chief, the Air Force Ball's coming up here. And,
Yes, sir,
and,
it is. It's right around the corner. In fact, the 16th of September. I hope to see everybody there. That's going to be a good time.
It is, and I hope to be back out here if needed and be able to attend with you guys. And
That'd be great.
It would be awesome.
You got your party shirt. We talked about this.
We did talk about a party
You got
shirt.
plenty of party shirts, so
Yeah.
I'm wearing mine. I'm just gonna wear it. You know, we talked about what was going on with that, but I'm gonna wear it anyway. We'll see how it goes.
Well, you know, the thing is, like last night, I was able to, and I missed Chief. Unfortunately, I wasn't paying attention, and I let her squirt away from me there. And I wasn't able to grab her. But you know, those type of events like that, it's you know, I really want to get a picture of you before you finally retire, and it'll be a huge, sad day for me to see you to transition into that civilian sector, but it's been such a pleasure meeting you and serving with you and getting to know your family. And being from Texas, it makes it even more special.
Yes,
So,
sir. I appreciate that. It's been a pleasure getting to know you as well, and it's going to be a sad day for me too, leaving. But it's a must. So
well, and
we all get there.
And I know you're going to be able to look back and see all the goodness that you were enriched with and enriched others with as you made that journey. And it's the legacy we leave behind, and you've left quite a legacy.
I appreciate it. Thank you,
So-
sir. Oh, well, it looks like I forgot to mention the same day as the Air Force Ball on the 16th of September, we will also be doing the second quarter awards. And typically we try to do that in August, early August, but with the way that the numbers were in the community, it was looking more like we would have to do a virtual ceremony. So I was hopeful in getting buy-in from all of the folks involved to postpone the awards so that we could still do that in-person thing, so that we could still have that camaraderie and the spirit of each of the squadrons as their folks are recognized, and be able to pass that spirit award around. So I'm curious to see who's going to bring it at this awards for the second quarter. Last night at ALS, we had quite a few contenders. I heard a lot of weapons. I heard, you know, Med Group was bringing it, you know, so AMXS, of course, you know, maintenance is always showing their spirit. So I'm curious to see who will take the trophy home this time. It'll be a good time.
The energy was incredible, wasn't it?
It was. I love that
I
energy.
couldn't believe the camaraderie, the energy, just the excitement of being there. So if you haven't had an opportunity to go to a formal event like that, please do so. It is truly rebluing, exciting, and just fun to be a part of. You know, when I'm here, I'm always TDY, so I'm separated from my family, and I get to stay in lodging, and hats off and a big shout out to the hardworking folks over there in our lodging facilities. They do provide a superior product, and I'm very fortunate and happy to come out here and stay in those fine lodging accommodations. But I also eat a lot out, and so you know, the DFAC is incredible. It's probably some of the best food I've had in my 38-year career, but I do occasionally go out and go to our other partners that are here on the installation, Wingstop, Subway, and the Panda Express, yes. And so, but I heard there's a new one that just came in.
Yeah, have you had a chance to check it out?
I have not.
So if you haven't, everybody, the shop at our Express has Hunt's Brothers Pizza now. They did their ribbon cutting this week, so I was able to see that on Facebook. That went really well, and I saw the setup, and I have yet to get over there this week, but I plan to stop in and see about getting me a chunk of pizza, is what
Wow.
I saw.
Okay.
Instead of a slice, it's a chunk, so I guess it's a couple of slices instead of, I don't know how it's all set up, but please, if you haven't had a chance, we have the first Hunts Brothers in California at our Express. So another addition on a place to get something, a quick bite to eat, and yeah,
That's
should be
going to be
good.
my number one stop when I come back.
There you
in a-
go.
in
It's
a
quick
couple
and
weeks.
easy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
amen.
So, just
the-
another option.
I had a thought. It's a senior moment, right?
With food, you must be hungry.
I must be. I should have eaten lunch.
That happens.
Yeah, it
Food
does.
helps you
It
to think.
does.
It feeds the brain. So, but yeah, one of my favorites here is Subway because it's right by the office. You
Okay.
know, and I can't wait until we get one of those micro marts at Building 3000. So that'll be another option on this side of the base instead of me having to go to the other side to get food at the commissary or the shop at. So, yeah, we're building up. We're building out. So. We're looking good in that area.
And like all the places that we have on the installation, it's just please try to spread the wealth and sample and take advantage of all the great offerings that they provide for us here, because it rewards them for taking an investment in our installation, and it brings more competition and more options out here for all of our folks that are on the installation.
It does. Good stuff. Well, Colonel Westy, have you had a chance to get over to Hunt's
I
Brothers?
actually did.
You did?
Well, they had a soft opening where they were giving out free pizza.
Okay.
So we just happened to be there to get some drinks, and they were giving out free pizza, and it was really pretty good.
Okay, good.
It was great. That was free too, but
That always makes something taste better, right?
But
But
you
yeah,
don't
it was
pay for
actually
it.
pretty good. I also want to do kind of a shout out to security forces, because I know school did start. My kids went to school
Yes.
on base.
How did we
and
forget about the kickoff for schools?
yeah, it was great. Very, very well organized and very safe. I know they did some recent updates to the parking lot out
Yes,
there, but
ma'am.
security forces was out there, so a huge shout out to them.
You're the
for-
second person today that has said good things about how the parking situation was for the launch of our opening of our schools this week. So I know that that's indeed heartfelt, and it's probably felt that same thing is felt across the base. So yeah, shout out security forces on the job well done there.
And shout out to FSS too for their CDC and school annex. I mean, throughout this, they've been awesome too. So let's put that out there.
They're always awesome though.
So Highlander, thank you. So it did come back into the frontal lobe of my brain when you mentioned ribbon cutting for
Yes,
the pizza. We had a ribbon cutting this week for our new high school.
Yes, sir, we did.
Right. So if you haven't had a chance to go out and visit the new high school, I highly encourage you to do so. It's absolutely gorgeous.
It is
It's cutting
nice.
edge. It's the leader of technology. And I think our children will have an amazing opportunity to get to break that school in really well and enjoy the fruits of a lot of hard work the last year and a half to 2 years to get that school built.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm very happy to see that and to provide that service for those young men and women to grow and prosper and make their own path in life.
There's a lot of goodness that school has that you won't find at many schools. I mean, the A&P, the flight simulator, just what they're doing with the theater, that whole piece. Like, it's just a lot of goodness going on. The basketball gym, the whole nine. If you haven't toured it, yeah, it's a must see. So, any other questions? It looks like we got one.
Yes, ma'am.
It was said that Edwards would be providing masks for everyone starting in August. Is that still going forward?
So yes, it is. We had an initial shipment of our masks, and we began an initial distribution. We do have another 40,000 masks coming. I believe they arrived today on station, so those will be ready for dispersal. I do believe that with CDC guidance and with some other numbers and things like that, I think the boss has a decision to consider next week possibly, where they'll take in some new data. As our sisters and counties start reporting the new data for next week, I think we may have a opportunity for the boss to take a look at the numbers and make decisions on what we're going to do going forward. But we do have those masks; they are on property, and we'll be ready for distribution as soon as we need to be.
Awesome. Sounds good, sir. Well, since we're shouting out, we might as well keep the party going. In addition, ma'am, to what you had mentioned about the security forces for the school launch effort or the opening or the first day of school, CE also put in some interesting parking lot structure to allow for a better flow of traffic over there. So I personally haven't had to drive that, but from what I understand, there's good feedback on the effort that they did. And so shout out to our CE team for what they did there to make that a success as well. Just a lot of goodness going around. I mean, what else? Who else, sir? There's got to be somebody you ran across. You said somebody impressed you.
But everybody,
A lot of people
everybody
do.
impresses me. It's like I said, when I come out here, I mean, we just don't realize how blessed and fortunate we are to be surrounded by such amazing characters and disciplines of people that we work with here. You just, you know, I guess there's just no slugs. There's nobody here that is just not a superstar, and you'll realize that when you once you retire or transition out into the civilian world. How fortunate and blessed you are to be surrounded by such amazing individuals with such high caliber, discipline, and integrity. So when I am out here, it's just so much fun. Like I said, to go out, meet people, talk to them, hear their story. But I spent a lot of time this week going through CPTS and just discussing the great work they do over there. You know, it's so easy to take for granted how easy the pay comes every 2 weeks, and you know they do have some hiccups every now and then with some areas of pay, but for the most part it works as advertised every day. And so they got a great organization over there with the helplines and things like that. But just going back and taking time to meet the people and hear their story and what they do to make all that happen. It's just as impressive as walking out and seeing someone breaking down an engine in a jet and putting it back together. It has the same fascination for me and admiration that I have for those folks doing such an amazing job.
Sure. Well, I don't always get to thank, well, I should say, I get to thank in person the first sergeants and the chiefs that basically keep things running. But I want to say publicly how much I appreciate the chiefs and the first sergeants. Those are my immediate touch points for things that are concerning our folks here on the installation. And typically your command chief is more focused on strictly the enlisted, but we are only 20% of the population here, and any leader here cannot afford to only focus on the people wearing this. Our civilians, our airmen as well, our contractors, we are all a team. And so when I say taking care of our people, I'm talking about everybody as it pertains to schools, housing, CDC, you name it. Our leaders they're dedicated, and they are working hard. They're putting in the hours to make sure that we can get the answers so that we have the ability to be transparent about what we are doing here at this installation. And that always includes Plant 42. And so shout out to all those folks. I appreciate you. I often tell you that in face to face, but I just want the masses to hear me say that I really do value what you do, and it makes my job a lot easier. So,
you know, Chief, in 1985, when I joined as in basic training, you talk about leadership. One of the first things, and I'm sure they still echo this, is followership.
yes.
You know, to be a good leader, you first must be a good follower. And one of the things that I want to stress is that, you know, you may be an E1 or an O1 just starting out, but you're going to one day be in General Higer's shoes or sitting in the seat here beside the wing commander or the vice.
Sure.
And so as you progress in your career, you know, just remember that it all starts with good followership first, and taking those individuals that are in front of you that are leading, learning from their successes and celebrating those successes, and also learning from their mistakes and asking them what their journey was like. So taking that time out to learn from those great leaders, but also be a great follower and a great contributor in the process.
I love it, sir. And with that said, to kind of wrap things up, I think we all owe this nation and everything in between, from the institution itself to the wing and all the way down. We owe it for each of us to have the right mindset about what we do. And we have a choice to make. We can either be part of the problem or we can be part of the solution. And as Edwards is big on the innovative culture and all the firsts that we have here, and just keeping those barriers broken, as we continue to break barriers, I should say, we are about solutions. And so if there are problems, which we know that there are, we're not naive to that. If there are, please communicate that using constructive criticism and making sure that you are giving everybody an opportunity to understand that and then work to fix that. There's too many resources, people, leaders, chiefs, first sergeants, too many of us that are engaged to allow something to go unaddressed, if you will. And so I appreciate those inputs rising up, and just remember that everybody, anything that you're dealing with, there's a person behind that. And so we are all humans. And like you said, we all are going to make a mistake along the way here and there. But if you allow me, even as I make mistakes, the opportunity to understand that what I've done and what that looks like and how that has impacted somebody, and then give me the opportunity to fix that, I think we'll be better off. And that just that goes across the board. So with that, I hope that everyone has an awesome weekend, and I'll see everybody back after next week. And I hope to come back with good news and goodies about where we're going as an Air Force. And sir, how do you want to sign off today?
Well, I'd just like to thank all of our special guests today. Thank for all their incredible pouring out of their stories and their successes and what they've done through their careers. Thank our Highlander and all the great folks from the medical group. And thank you for what you do and what you continue to do to serve our airmen in this nation. And then I want to wish everybody a happy Friday and a great weekend. And take care of each other, take care of yourself, and we'll see you back next week.